Guys come in and they hit you, and then you make an adjustment like that, and then they come over top, right? Nice and small. Minimize the opportunities that other people have. Don't give them opportunities right out of the box. Learn our fundamentals. We want to be sound. We want to be strong. We want to know our fundamentals. 90% of what you'll do in every fight, you'll learn in the first 6 weeks of boxing. Don't get caught up in all the bullshit that's out there, right? And then what happens is, as you go through, as you advance, you develop and you tweak and you modify, and there's nuances and there's little edges to techniques, and you add. And there is a lot of technique that you add over time. But when you watch Canelo fight, right? He's not out there doing something you haven't seen before, right? Maybe his instincts are great, maybe his reflexes are great, maybe he has some of the attributes, but his skill set is not something, you don't look at him and go, holy crap. Lomachenko, you know, a unique skill set, a rare skill set, a skill set that may be a little bit different, right? Based in fundamentals. I'm a big samurai guy. I like to read about the samurai and all that kind of stuff. So do you know what the first thing they asked the samurai warrior to do in his training? Is surrender, right? Surrender, be coachable, right? Surrender. Doesn't mean surrender your health, doesn't mean surrender your conscience. What it does mean surrender though, be open to learning, right? Be open to the influence I'm going to provide to you. And if you don't trust that influence, then I'm not the coach for you, because boxing has consequences. It's not rec league soccer, right? It's not rec league soccer. So let's talk real quickly about coaching in boxing. Right? Good coaches produce good fighters on a regular basis, right? Bad coaches don't do that. Bad coaches are also about themselves. You pay attention, right? Is a coach trying to steal you away, right? Or is a coach trying to improve you as an athlete and hope you come his way? But for you guys to get the most out of this, you need to surrender to me, and you need to have trust that what I'm going to do and what I'm going to teach you is in your best interest. It's going to help you become the best fighter you can be. And that's a decision you have to make yourself. All I'm interested in is that you guys surrender to me, right? And I promise I'll give you the best I possibly can and turn you into the best fighter you can possibly be. That's where you have to start. Right? This sport is a process. This sport doesn't happen overnight. Nobody makes quantum leaps in boxing. You don't come in here and then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden you're awesome. Boxing is very incremental. If his elbow just slightly like this, you see this all the time, right? Guys come in and they hit you, and then you make an adjustment like that, and then they come over top, right? Nice and small. Minimize the opportunities that other people have. Don't give them opportunities right out of the box. You know what happens when you don't do that? You start fighting a guy and his basic fundamentals are wrong. His stance is wrong. Let's say I'm fighting him. Something happens to me that's important when you fight a guy who's technically incorrect. You start becoming creative. You're looking at opportunities. You're giving my imagination places to go. I'm starting to look at him and say, holy crap, I can put some shots together. But when you come in and you're tight, my imagination is very limited. I realize now I got to go to work, man. I'm going to have to work to find an opening. He's not giving me anything. I got to work to find it. I'm going to have to put combinations together. I have to use my feet. It's going to be hard. But when you give a guy an opening from the beginning, and he's, whatever it happens to be, you put him into the fight in a different way. You get his mind working in a different way. You're giving him options right out of the box. You want somebody to come out when the first thing they see you, technically, they look at you and they say, shit, this guy's tight as a drum. This is going to be hard for me to get a few shots in. Then you layer in your defense will teach you and all that, right? Most guys don't have a lot of arrows in their quiver to fire. They got a couple go-to moves, right, that their coach taught them. They know some basics. You defeat those basics, and then what? They get frustrated, right? And then when they get frustrated, what do people do when they're frustrated? Make mistakes, right? The first thing out of the box you want to present to somebody is saying to them right off the box, I'm tight. You're going to have to work to land a shot from me. And when we layer up your defense and we have you setting up right, It limits their imagination right out of the box. But you come out all, chin exposed or elbows off your body, their mind's going crazy. They're automatically in the fight. They're automatically looking for setups. So when you turn pro, when you guys get great and you turn into professional fighters, you can enter the ring any way you want. But when you're an amateur, you enter the ring a certain way. The way you enter the ring is through the middle ropes. What is so important about this place as opposed to the place you're at? What's the difference between right here and right here? 2 inches, right? A thin line with massive distinction, right? A lot of things happen in here. People make a living in here. People feed their families in here. People get hurt in here. People's lives are at stake in here. Out there, right, it's different. What else is special about this place, right? When you're part of a gym, you're part of a team, there has to be a what? There has to be a sacred place, right? This is our sacred place. This is our church. This is where we come to be serious about the work we're doing. So when you cross over here, you need to change, right? You need to change. You need to change from who you are there into who you are here. You need to be different out there than you are here, right? If you want to make a proper entrance, you open the door properly. You come into the office, right? You don't just kick the door open at the church that you go to and say, "I'm here, Father, start preaching," right? Right? You don't do that. Right? What you do is you come in properly. You come in, you keep your mouth shut, you sit down, you say hi to the other parishioners, and you sit down, and you wait for the service to begin, right? So what I'm saying to you is you have to have a mindset that this is a serious place. And all I'm saying to you is that the way you are out there and the way you are in here has to be different. This is a thin line with massive distinction, right? And there's a right way and a wrong way to enter the ring, and the right way to enter the ring when you're an amateur is between the middle ropes. One of the first things you need to do in a fight is take people's hope. Don't give a guy hope. When you got a guy, he's out of a fight, and all of a sudden he sees you make mistakes, you're giving him hope. Hope is the worst thing you can possibly give an opponent. You can take a guy who's a crappy fighter with a crappy record and give him hope, he turns into a pretty good fighter who believes he's got a chance. You take his hope early, and the easiest way to take somebody's hope is defensively. Right? Nothing they throw lands. They come out all excited, but over time their will starts to fade. And when their will fades, right, that's when you get to turn it on. It's the technique that matters, okay? And we call it closing because it's like swinging a gate closed. We just swing the gate open. All we're going to do is swing the gate closed, right? It's like this. You're just going to swing the gate closed. Same thing. You ready? Close pivot. Close pivot. Now you should be in the exact same spot you started out with. Close pivot. Close pivot. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to get back in your stance, and we're just going to review real quick. Okay, get back into your stance real quick. The heel of your back foot and the toe of your front foot, if you're on that line, if you follow that line straight out, what should it point to? Your opponent, right? If you look down at your feet and the line between your heel and your toe is pointing off in some other direction, you're typically out of position. So if I draw a line between the heel of your back foot and the toe of your front foot, is it pointing at me? Okay, now open your foot up a little bit. Okay, now go that way. Okay, but leave your foot here. Let's get out of position. Now he's out of position, Freddie. Now he's out of position, right? Because he's trying to get that, right? So look at me now. I'm real stealthy to him, and he's real blocky to me. He's giving me all this surface area in which to attack. When he gets himself in the right position, he's taken away much of a surface area and covered it. When he puts his foot here, he just gets 2 inches off track, right? Look at all that surface area I got. Now I give me opportunities to slide my feet or just to chop him up down the middle, right? He's going to have to defend all that territory. You want to minimize the amount of area you have to defend just by your basic stance, okay? Heel, toe, opponent. Self-correct while you're working.